Hello and welcome to a review of extra cheesy Cheez-Its. Now, you might be wondering, why am I reviewing extra cheesy Cheez-Its? Well, I am a big fan of Cheez-Its. I have had many Cheez-Its throughout my life. I've gone through 2 boxes of Cheez-Its, make that 3 actually, over the last 2 months. And Cheez-Its are my life, basically. Now, today I'll be reviewing extra cheesy Cheez-Its. I'll be tasting it, I'll be savoring it, I'll be comparing it with normal Cheez-Its later on in the video. And overall, I'll just be analyzing how delicious and also delicious food. I'll be seeing if they're good or not. Now, it's time to try these. I've already had like 20 of these, by the way. Ranked on appearance, I have to say it's pretty good. Pretty good. It looks like a Cheez-It. Obviously, this one's a bit worse for wear, but that won't it won't make it taste worse. And in fact, it might even make it taste better, honestly. Who knows? I've never had one of these before. Well, I have had 20 of them. So, let's try it. Initial impressions, it's got a much sharper taste than a normal Cheez-It. It's also got powder on it. A normal Cheez-It obviously doesn't have powder, so it's a bit of a different experience from the classic Cheez-It. With the classic Cheez-It, you'll put it in your mouth, maybe you'll taste a little bit of salt at first, but most of the flavor it's sort of a straight line in terms of flavor, right? It even goes a little up because you start out with a bit of flavor, and then that flavor maybe goes up as your taste buds sort of absorb the bulk of the mass of the cheese, and then it just kind of stays on a straight line because the flavor doesn't really change over time. Even after you've had it in your mouth for many minutes, as I have in the past, the flavor doesn't really change. But with this Cheez-It, you get a very high flavor at the beginning, and then that drops down, and it almost goes to zero, honestly, aside from the echoes of that initial flavor blast, because when you have when that first push goes down, it's almost like your threshold for flavor has increased so much by that initial push that once it goes down, you don't really taste much at all. So, that's my initial impression. Now I'll have a little bit more just to make sure that I'm getting the full experience, so to speak. Okay. So, now I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to savor the flavor. I'm going to, instead of chewing it at first, I'm going to savor it in my mouth to really fully absorb that flavor. And then I'm going to see what it tastes like after the flavor, the big jump at the beginning, has ended. And I'm also going to have 2 at once, just to make sure that I'm getting more flavor in my mouth. Well, let me try that again. Mm, 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 mhm. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. So I got a very clear sense of that initial flavor. I very much could taste that first flavor. I have to say, I didn't really enjoy it. Hi.
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Ooh. Oh.
Barkley, come on. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
Barkley.
He probably smells the Cheez-Its. All right. Thank you.
Have a great day. You're
Thanks,
welcome.
you too. As you can see, that's one more point for these Cheez-Its because they are dog approved. Now, after, as I was saying, the initial flavor of the dust was very strong. But I have to say, when I had it separate from the flavor of the Cheez-It as a whole, the natural flavors of the Cheez-It that come in when you crunch on it, I didn't really like it, honestly. I wouldn't just have the dust on it, so I would count that as a point against these Cheez-Its. And I was also wondering, did they in any way modify the natural flavor of the Cheez-It in this version that they released as opposed to the normal original Cheez-It, so to speak? And no, after the dust settled, so to speak, and I just had a normal Cheez-It in my mouth, when I was crunching that up and tasting it, it just tasted like any old Cheez-It. So it's really more of an addition to the normal Cheez-It formula than it is a remixing of the classic formula. But once again, when you have that powder on there, the normal flavors of the Cheez-It, once the powder is gone, just don't really come into play. When you eat it the way it's meant to be eaten, where you chew it all up at once, it kind of you just taste the powder. You never really taste the classic Cheez-It, which is a problem in my opinion. You should be able to still enjoy the classic flavor of the Cheez-It while also enjoying the new flavors that they introduce. And this new flavor isn't even that good. So, I suppose the final thing to do now is to compare this with the classic Cheez-It, the Cheez-It without any special additions, so to speak. This one is unopened. Thought I'd just mention that in case anyone was wondering if I was tampering with things. So how does the extra cheesy Cheez-It compare with the classic Cheez-It? I'm going to start with the classic just to make sure that I'm accustomed to the first flavor before I go into the more punchy flavor. It's a good flavor. There's a good formula. There's a reason the Cheez-It recipe has not changed at all since its original conception. So, it's interesting. When I compare these two flavors, they are similarly intense, to be honest. When it comes to foods, your body kind of naturally sets a threshold, like a baseline almost. And when you have these, the baseline is pretty low, and when you have these, the baseline is pretty high. So you almost judge each food's flavor by its peak point of flavor that hits you. So this one technically has a less sharp flavor than this one, but I actually found both feeling, interestingly, like the same amount of intensity. And so, although this one has the same base flavor that this one does, the difference is that this one has that extra powder, which adds this big bump in the intensity, which causes that original flavor of the base Cheez-It to disappear. So it's really just a matter of which flavor is better, the base Cheez-It or the Cheez-It powder on a base Cheez-It. And really it's just the powder, because again, the base Cheez-It flavor isn't there. And comparing those two, honestly, this is just better. It's just a better flavor. I mean, it's the classic Cheez-It formula. Everyone loves Cheez-Its. And this is a weird, it's almost like macaroni and cheese powder, you know? It doesn't really taste like actual cheese, unlike the classic formula. And therefore, I'm just really wondering, what am I putting in my mouth? And what is this flavor? It just doesn't taste good. And so comparing these two, it's really just, it's not a contest. This is the winner. If you're looking for Cheez-Its, stick to the classic original formula. Now, we actually have one more test, and I think this one will really tell us which is the best Cheez-It. I have with me today cracked pepper and olive oil flavored Triscuits. Now, which is better between these two? That is the question. Alright, so this will be the same test as before. We'll try the Triscuit, try to savor the flavors, really get a sense of what it is, and then we'll try the extra cheesy Cheez-It. Okay. And now this one. This one's actually better. This one takes approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds to chew, while this one takes approximately 1 second and 30 milliseconds to chew. So if you're looking for a snack that's quick, one that you can just grab it, stuff it down, and then get out, this would actually be the better option. But if you're looking for something with more nuance of flavor, right, because this one's got the cracked pepper and, of course, the olive oil, which are two very strong flavors, this would be your option. So, in conclusion, if I were to recommend one of these options, it would have to be the classic Cheez-Its. This is not bad. It's not terrible, but it's not as good as the original. And this one, classic Cheez-Its are the best. No, maybe, yes. That's really all I've got to say. So thank you for watching this review. I hope to see you, and bye.